Anybody will do, for the most part, anything for the money. And I don't just mean people that's pimping themselves out on TV or even really just, selling their bodies. I'm talking about people that go to a job every day that they hate. There's no amount of money that will ever make you stop if money is what you care about. You'll keep going. Oh, I got $1 million, gotta get 10. Got 10, gotta get 100. Got 100, gotta get 5. Got 5, gotta get $1 billion. If it's cars, you'll never have enough cars. If it's women, you'll never have enough. You'll be chasing them forever. If it's success, you can never get enough of that. We placing our importance on the wrong things. We've let the system in the world tell us that these things are important. The new, you got the flat screen joint, but you ain't got the 16 inch. Right. You got the 16 inch joint, but you ain't got the 16 inch 3D. Oh, you got the frames, but you ain't got the 2015.
It's exhausting too, by the way. It's exhausting.
Hey guys, we are back. We are back. It's the long drive home. My name is Joey Cool, and I've got some special guests with me and Ron Snow today, so I'll leave it to them to introduce themselves.
Check it first.
Yeah, go.
Hey, I'm Charlie certified. Some of you may follow me. Actually, I see people that do. Right, okay. levels. But yeah, I'm Charlie, and yeah, hi. We're gonna have some fun today, I think. Trying to adjust this screen here. And
where can people find you?
Oh, Charlie certified, Charlie with no E, so CHARLI, certified on all socials, so Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, etc. I do podcasts, I've started some hosting, events, all kinds of stuff. So generally speaking, type Charlie certified into Google. And there I am.
Bam, bam.
Boom. Yes, definitely say. So yeah, that's me.
And in the back we got...
Yeah, I'm chilling with my white cup.
Come on.
I'm Yasmin, aka Yazzie Presents. Been invited down today. Thanks guys, really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna have some cool conversation today. My socials are all exactly that, Yazzie. So with 2 Z's Presents, and I do a lot of behind the scenes stuff on a lot of productions you probably have seen on your telebox or on your interwebs.
Come on.
Nice.
You already know it's your boy Ron Snow, someone's baby father, out here supporting the cause. Big up everyone that went to watch Black Panther. I still ain't watched it, but don't blame me.
Listen, he can't be a part of this. He hasn't seen it, so I don't even know why you're talking.
He's not Wakanda forever.
It's like that.
Can't be a part of the family if you ain't seen it. What's that about? Yeah, go on.
And it's your boy Joey Cool. You can find me on Joey Cool 1 on Insta. Today's topic, we are talking about what is important. As in, have we got our priorities straight, our values, are we doing the right things to better our lives? So I'm gonna drop the question to the guys and ask them individually, like, what do you guys think is important nowadays in the life that we're living, and how we're trying to better ourselves?
I think there's so many levels, first of all, to bettering oneself, because there are some people who are, for example, very financially stable and financially secure, but then they're not necessarily emotionally happy or mentally stable. Do you know what I mean? So they've got everything, but they don't know how to handle this quote-unquote everything. And then you've got people who obviously the opposite, who know what they want. They have all this drive and all this ambition, but not necessarily the tools, opportunities, finances to execute that, which can be really quite unfair. So how you can better your life, I think, depends on your circumstances, and what you think you need in order to get to that next step to better what you want to do. I think straight off the bat anyway.
I just think that I just don't understand why someone can be rich and wealthy and you're just mentally not there. I thought, like, for me, well, back in the day, I thought, like, if you had money and you're successful, that is it, you're all good to go. Do you see what I'm trying to say to you? So I didn't see why people be mentally ill, like these little things. Like, I thought success, money, big car, big house, yeah, that's what I thought. Do you know what I mean?
So what changed that?
Yeah.
Do you know what it is? When you get older, so as I got older, I started seeing like certain things, like I say when I was young, it was all about the flashy, you know.
Yeah.
You had to look apart, you had to dress a certain way, you had to have the Louboutins, you had to have the Rolex, you know what I'm trying to say to you? You had to look crisp, you see what I'm trying to say to you?
Yeah.
And then when you go into the club, lifestyle. So you have to pop the bottles, you see what I'm trying to say to you? Do you know what I mean?
Bottles.
You have to, do you know what I mean? But then after a while, I started seeing how my mum, like, seeing how she was struggling. And I'm at popping bottles, but my mum's struggling. So then it made me think, you know, I need to slow down.
Yeah.
And let me build something at home. Do you see what I'm trying to say to you?
Okay. So, but when you say build something at home, you're saying about struggling and stuff. So is your what makes me better money then? Like, so that sounds like what?
Yeah, for me, well, for me, I think money makes things better.
Yes.
Money.
Most definitely.
Yes and no, because money can't buy class. And I was gonna say, in terms of you speaking about having to stunt, I feel like that's prominent for a particular demographic or particular, like, because when you're young, yeah, everybody's doing image. Like, as soon as you get to university, if you know, decide that that's what you want to do, as soon as people get their bursary or their student loan, people are privy to money that they haven't had access to before in their lives, and they start spending recklessly because for majority of us, we haven't known that. But for those who have necessarily like come from wealth, they're living in a different life. They've got a different aesthetic even in how they dress. So going and flossing and popping bottles isn't necessarily the key aim or goal for certain individuals. Like, I went to uni up in Hastings. I was meant to be on a Brighton University course. It was a Brighton uni course, but they kind of slung us on a part of the coast that ordinarily I would never have gone to. And a lot of the kids that were in my class, I want to say middle class white kids, but a lot of them were wealthy. Like, their parents had given them their first car. Granted, it was a banger, but they had a vehicle. Whereas my thing was, I was still paying for my own driving lessons and everything. Like, there wasn't any assistance in that regard. So for me, it's that thing of making sure my rent is paid, the food is in my fridge, and then I can go and stand off in the raves. Like, obviously, shout outs, that's where our relationship began. But at the same time, it's that thing of seeing where their priorities lie. For them, they're not worrying about that, because even if they spent recklessly, which is a lot of the time they did, they know that they could make that phone call and that money would magically appear.
Straight away.
But that's why I was saying, obviously, in the beginning, that it's all about circumstances, because what we would see as, or what we've just said, and I agree with you, is that a certain demographic act frivolous with money. It's because that's not what we're around. So well, some people, so, you know, we act stupid when it comes to it, but we can't then blame or kind of judge, you know, depending on what the word is, another type of person who has come from that, because they have no respect for it, or do you know what I mean? But that's not any fault of their own. They can't help the fact that their parents bought them their first apartment, or that their parents bought them their first car. So when we look at people and say, oh right, they think different, like they're focused on other stuff, of course they're focused on other stuff, because they didn't have to worry about that thing. Like, we're gonna worry about money because we don't have money. If somebody already has money, their new thing is gonna be, I can just be an artist, I can just follow my dreams and be an actor, because they don't have to worry about where rent's coming from. Whereas other people, and I won't just say black people, but other people who have to think about the rent and about the bills, they can't necessarily follow those same kind of dreams or demographic, or be so frivolous with life. So it's like, you do have to judge where somebody is coming from as to what is supposed to be important to them, if that makes sense.
But then, that being said, sorry to interrupt you, Joey, like, with that being said, that does kind of reinforce the point of, like, if our priorities are different and being financially stable is supposed to be the aim, then why are we going out balling and flossing the second we see any kind of money? Like, the two don't coincide with each other at all. So where does that mentality come from?
Do you know what? There's a really good comment.
I was just gonna say that. It kind of goes with what you're saying, Yaz, is that it's Dre Dreezy says, having peas is one thing, it's understanding money management which isn't taught.
Can I just I just, in terms of that, I feel like, do you feel like we live in a world now where, you know, there's wants and needs? Now, for instance, I'll give an example. Your rent is, someone's rent is due. Their rent's £800 or whatnot. That's a need. To pay your rent is a need, right? But then they might think, I want to treat myself this month and buy, let's say, a Louis bag, which is £800. More times in this world now, people are spending £800 to go and buy a Louis bag rather than go and pay their rent, which is a need, and then put themselves in debt. That is what I don't understand, and I feel like that's where we go wrong.
But when you say we, it's just like, there's a large collective, but them people that are idiots, because
I'm not
because I'm not part of that collective. Like I've seen girls, and I'll say girls. I don't know about boys, but I've seen girls who choose to spend their rent money on something else because on whatever it is, because they feel or know whatever lifestyle they're living that somebody else will pay it. And I'm just like, whoa. I don't. That's not my portion. I mean, maybe if it was, I would feel a bit more recklessly. But I don't live that life, and it's that same cycle that it depends on what is what you know is coming in and out. It's stupid either way. Don't get me wrong. It's dumb either way. But if she knows, let's go to the far end of the spectrum. If she knows that all she has to do is, like, I don't know, spread foot and get the £800 tomorrow. Then why would she not spend it on a bag? Because it doesn't matter. Like, I'm gonna get it back. Whereas if I was to say rent or bag, there's no competition here, because I know I'm not going to get the £800 from anywhere else. If you know someone else is going to pay for it, then you're going to be risky with your money.
But I feel like there's cultural and social implications as well, because like this mentality hasn't just bred itself within the last 10 years. Like, it's clearly an ongoing thing. So I feel like if you come from a generation or society of the have-nots, like, I think there's something to be said about looking like you're well-to-do as opposed to being well-to-do. In terms of what Dre Dreezy was saying about money management and the fact that that's not something that we were taught. Like, it's very easy to come into a windfall of money and then spend it on looking like you're well-to-do. And keeping up appearances is not actually that difficult, you know, but it's just about maintaining your circle enough that you can maintain the charade. But it then comes into problems when you realize, okay, now that I've got to a point where my my starting point was on a deficit. So obviously we didn't necessarily start on zero. If we've already started on minus, then it's a lot harder to climb the ladder financially. But then once we get to a certain age, it's like we can't account that to our families or our social or cultural upbringing. It's then down to us to say, okay, well, if we're broke or if we're not doing so well for ourselves, that's on us. So I guess it's that thing of where did then the priorities change? So this is again why when I was asking you about why did your priorities change from you were flossing and balling, now you've seen your mum, but you've always seen your mum. So
do you know
why was it
about now? It's like I can't say it's my neighborhood, but I was with a lot of friends that our lifestyle was, listen, we out, we need to be in the best gear, we need to be looking fly. So when the ladies see us, they're just dripping. You sound just dripping with sauce. You know what I'm saying? Finesse the thing. And you got so used to that lifestyle, it just got on top. And
so that's where peer pressure falls.
And there's peer pressure because you know what it is. You're not at that level. When you now go out, everyone's expecting you need to be popping bottles. But you're not popping bottles. You have to be like, yo, it's a light day today. Do you know what I mean? So it started getting a bit on top, and I was just like, bro, am I going to be doing this all the time? Like, am I going to just be popping bottles and at the end of the day the money's gone? It's gone. And then when you deep it, when you get home, man just spent £1,000 in a club for what?
For who even? Like,
for who? Do you see what I'm trying to say to you? And it was consistent, week in, week out, Friday, Saturday, out.
You know what? Oh god, I lost what I was gonna say. So obviously you're just saying you've just spent £1,000 in a club. What I think is a very fine line is that boys, are expected to look a certain way and dress a certain thing and all that kind of other stuff. But if you spent that £1,000, like if you're able to spend that £1,000 and it was just, oh my god, I shouldn't have done that, that is a very different person to someone who spent the £1,000 and didn't have it. Does that make sense? So you're not upset that you missed £1,000. So you're clearly within your means. You're just vexed that you spent it and you didn't need to. There are people that are out here maxing credit cards or getting grants from other places or in order to have spent it. So when we're talking about needs and wants and living within your means and stuff, you're probably much better in a better place than somebody else because you had £1,000 to spend and you were just vexed that it was gone. Like you could have put it somewhere else. There are some people that now that £1,000 is gone, they're pissed. They don't have any more money. And those are two very distinct people. You either have it there to do it or you don't, and are going to find ways to do it. That makes you insane because you're finding something you didn't have to look a certain way. No, it shouldn't be that hard if if it comes as naturally as you're trying to portray that it does.
But in terms of obviously what Dre Dreezy was saying about money management being taught, isn't that something that our parents would have taught us from when we
Not
was young,
necessarily.
even growing up in the household. No,
Not
because like my mum always said, you know that one line, money doesn't grow on trees.
Yes,
Yeah.
all the time.
That's what my mum always said
All
to
the
me,
time.
and she said, listen, make sure you, whatever it is you do, you work hard and you be the best at it. Whether it's a dustbin man, you be the best dustbin man, or if you're doing finance, make sure you're ahead of everyone else, because
But
at the end of the
making money
day,
isn't the same as managing money.
true.
Like you can have all the money in the world and lose it because you're just
Yeah, but then
hemorrhaging it. It doesn't teach you how to, as you said, how to manage it. In school, we don't get taught taxes, we don't get taught, you know, as I said, money management, we don't get taught any of that. It's just make lots of money and be rich. Okay, but how do you maintain wealth? Nobody teaches you that.
Nothing.
It's just you need money to buy things and lots of things, but when you get that stuff, it's, you know, what do you then do with it? We don't get taught that the way, for example, Americans do. Not necessarily that they're any better at it, but because they have to, you know, do tax as a physical thing, they get taught that it's like, you know, I pay this much, but then I have to put in my tax receipts, I have to do this. They get taught that level of life that we don't, because it all just goes through anything we buy. Do you know what I mean? So you can make money, but how to manage money you get is both a thing you can be taught, but it's also a personal thing as well.
I was just about to say that. Sorry, I was just about to say that, because it's like, for instance, all right, some people may grow up and see their parents struggling or whatnot. You're looking at that, you're taking that all in, and the one thing you're saying to yourself is, I don't want to be in that position
like that
my parents are in. So you're gonna teach yourself, like, I feel like it's self-taught, like you're gonna teach yourself how to be better with money. And that's my take on it. Yazzie, what was you gonna say before I interrupted?
You know what? It's just a case of like what I was saying earlier about, if we started on a deficit and we weren't necessarily taught these necessary skills to be able to go forward and know how to manage money, like we get to a certain point in life where we can't really complain about that anymore. We have to actively seek the knowledge ourselves. Because then it's just a case of we kind of dabble into that really grey area of like victim blaming, and it's just long, like, because we're of an age now where no one is necessarily going to have sympathy for any systematic practices that have been put in place that have been basically set for us to fail before we've even begun. We have to now find ways to collectively to overcome that, and some of those things like kind of overcome background or race is just about, bruh, if you're poor, innit? So you have to basically find a way to hustle and learn and garner those skills. And I think given the society that we live in now, in terms of the way that information is so easily accessible, I think this is also why it's so much harder for people that are like financially on their face, because it's like, well, if you've got all of these resources at your disposal, why are you on your face? Do you know what I mean? So with that, someone made a really good point earlier and I've completely forgotten what it was now, but basically it comes down to priorities being about living within your means. If you're actively choosing to live outside of your means, then that's your own doing. Again, nobody's going to have sympathy for you. So like, for instance, I freelance as a first assistant director. And like, before I decided to go on this journey, like, I was in stable employment. I was doing 9 to 5 jobs. And the thing is, like, I've still done part-time work alongside the work that I've been doing now. Now I'm completely freelance because there's far more work that's coming in. But that being said, like, when people are taking long to drop me my invoices and acting as if the world is going to stand still, it's like, bruh, you lot are putting me in the red. My finances were cool until you people have decided to not pay me on time. So that type of situation now, like, I'm very particular about who I speak about that to, because to anyone else it's going to be like, well, you chose this lifestyle, you chose to freelance, no one told you to go and do this career. There's plenty of 9 to 5 job roles that are out there, but that's not your portion. It was making me miserable. And equally, like, I'm still paying off my student university debt. This is what I studied to do, so it's like, why am I going to pay off a debt to not be doing that particular type of work? You see what I'm saying? And again, those decisions that I made at uni, I was younger, people may well have had sympathy and said, okay, well, you know, she didn't know, she wasn't able to kind of gauge the climate, and like, so many things have changed in the last 10 or so years since I've left uni. But where I am now, if I now I'm speaking to certain people who are outside of my friend network, and they're like, yeah man, the raised £20 has come through, and I'm like, B, I don't have that £20. Like, where are you going? Like, people don't get it. It's like, what do you mean you don't have £20? Like, listen, I don't need to sit down and break down to you why I don't have £20. But I'm telling you what my priorities are in relation to the lifestyle you want me to lead.
Like, I was just gonna say, like, it's, you ever, as I said, it's the same kind of thing when you're going out or someone says to you, oh, you know, come out, and you say, oh, I'm broke, and you say, oh, you ain't got £10. I might have £10, but I don't have £10 for this. I don't have £10 to go rave with you. Maybe the £10 is going to my electric. Maybe the £10 is going to my gas. Don't tell me how to spend my money. Or like, do you see what I mean? And then, or they'll turn around and be like, oh, you bought this or something. Say I took a snap of new shoes or something. And they'll be like, oh, I see you buying shoes, but you couldn't come out yesterday. Because I wanted those shoes. I didn't want to go out. Don't ask me.
The shoes might have even been a necessity.
Thank you. The shoes might have been
your shoes could have been talking for all people know.
Exactly.
Don't ask me the question. Exactly. So people always want you to kind of have to explain why you can't do certain things. And it's just like, if you're not making me money or putting in my money or paying any of my bills, you don't have the right to ask me these questions. You know what I mean? It's like I'm broke for you. Like I'm not broke for me. Like
let me throw a question out for you guys, because you're talking about obviously you're freelancer now. So do you think we are all programmed to now work a 9 to 5 because it's security? Like you said, you now work for yourself.
You took that leap.
You took that leap, which a lot of people don't do, because 9 to 5, you know, it brings security. You know, like you're gonna get a certain amount, the same amount every month. Do you feel like it's not changing? Do you feel like we're all programmed?
Not bonus.
It's true, you know. It's not when you think about it, like it's the same thing. And like we work Monday to Friday, and we wait for the weekends just to escape, and then it's like, oh, back on Monday it's back to a job that I don't know, some people don't like. So do you guys feel like in today's world, like we're just programmed to work
to do so? Yeah, most definitely. I mean, and I say this simply from personal experience. A year ago, well, going on 2 years now, I quit my job. I quit my 9 to 5. And I was just like, you know, all the stuff you're saying, it was making you miserable, it's making you sad, and it's not what I studied to do, it's not what I want to do, it's not where I want to be. And I was just like, you know what, I want to, I said, take that leap and take that leap of faith to see what I can do in this space of time. So I did that, and it was great. Not, I wouldn't say great, but it was great for a while in that I had more time to do the things I want to do, because when it came to auditions or you know, it came to some kind of show or an interview or that kind of stuff, I was now free to do those things. But the 3rd month, the 4th month, the 5th month in, money was getting tight. And you know what I mean? It was very suffocating, and it was just like, you know, trying to find money from different places. And I did, talking about money management, I got myself into some kind of, not huge issues, but debt and extra things, just to, not just to, I shouldn't say that because I still love it, but to fund what I wanted to do. And it was just like, you know what, I need to sit and discuss with myself, not even with anybody, but I need to decide what is important, fair enough, but how I'm going to viably get there without destroying myself. So I had to sit down, and so I said the pressure thing to go back to 9 to 5. I have gone back to 9 to 5 now, but the 9 to 5 I've gone back to, I refuse to go back to anything that wasn't in the sector I needed to be in. And that was the shift that I had to make. So yes, I'm getting the money now, but I'm now, before I was in project management, I was like, this is boring as hell, like I don't want that, and I've now moved over into marketing. So I've got the 9 to 5, so I've got the stability that I need, and was scaring me, but I'm now in somewhere that I don't dread. Essentially, I don't dread going to work. I don't, you know, feel like I'm wasting my time. And because I have more money now, I can save it to then hopefully invest in the other stuff I want to do, and not feel like, as I said, it's destroying me. So yeah, we do feel like we need to feel, you know, solid in what we do until we get to, you know, your point in life, Yaz, where you are able to live off it. Unlucky I weren't there yet, but until, you know,
still a struggle, you know.
It's still a struggle.
Some months are better than others.
That's it. But so from my own personal experience, yes, I felt so pressured to have money coming in all the time. I was just so scared, like, how is this going to be paid on this day? I don't want this to happen. Like, it terrified me. But now that I've gone back into the situation, I do feel much better about where I'm going to go. So yeah, that's just my own story.
I think that's very important. What the underlying the undertones of what you're saying is about mental health is important. You know, I think in your day-to-day work, be it 9 to 5, like there are creative 9 to 5 roles. I think that's one thing that tends to be misconstrued. A lot of people see freelancers, yeah man, I'm CEO of my own. Nah, no. What you are effectively doing is saying your money management skills need to be on point. You need to have good people skills, because you cannot be pissing off people, rubbing up people the wrong way, left, right and center, if you are reliant on those relationships to garner your next paycheck. And sometimes, like, it can just be a slow month, it could be a slow couple of months, and you have to be very resourceful and very resilient, because brokenness is real. And it's one of those things where if you are not kind of managing where your headspace is at, it's very, very easy to fall into a decline. And I noticed the same thing even with people who are in stable 9 to 5. I think sometimes the routine can turn into monotony. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, getting up in the morning can become very, very difficult. So it's very important to kind of sit down and assess what is it that you want out of life, because I know a lot of people will spend their paycheck happily going on 4 or 5 holidays a year, because that's their release. That's how they.
That's me.
That's
you.
That's what keeps them going. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's how.
There's a need for that.
Sorry. No, I was just gonna say, like, if that's how you're stunting to be able to keep yourself mentally in check, then that's dope. But then it's just about making sure you can manage your finances to live that lifestyle.
That's it. Sorry, on here we've got, I think, Yinka _Dinka. Permanent jobs are not permanent nowadays. Ginger Nathan Profundo said, very true, Yinka. Is that a good or a bad thing? So I think he's asking about that first.
Oh, I think, no, what Yinka Dinka's saying there, permanent jobs are not permanent nowadays. That is true. So in hindsight, we need to kind of look further. I think that we need to look further than just our 9 to 5 and kind of think about, okay, where am I?
Income.
Yeah, exactly. What direction am I going to take my life into next?
I would say, like, if you have a talent, everyone has a talent. Obviously, some people do not find out what their talent is until a later stage. I feel if you can have the opportunity to find your talent and progress on your talent, that should be the route that you should go through. Do you know what I'm trying to say? 9 to 5, there's nothing wrong with it. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with it. But I feel in this day and age, a lot of people with the talent that they have shy away, and then years down the line they say, you know what, I should have done it. And I always say, if you feel you've got a talent and you know that you can progress on it, take the leap, take the chance,
collect your points.
But you know what, and saying that, Rons, you can have talent. They say obviously you have talent, but then some say you have a purpose. There's a purpose. So example, I could be a singer, my talent could be singing, but that might not be my purpose. My purpose could be, I don't know, writing songs for somebody. Do you know what I mean? So when you say talent, people should see through with that. Let's say you see through with your talent. I'm a singer, I gig all over the country. I don't get anywhere with it. What do I do next?
Okay, so I would say that so you gigged around and nothing's happened for you. Nothing's
happened for me. Where do I go now? All I know is singing. Where do I go next?
That's a very difficult question.
Because we know so many people who are living that life.
Do you know what I mean?
Like, I mean, in this small black London community, there, you know, we probably all know a lot of the same people, follow the same dreams and stuff. And you think, raw, my man's been doing this for years, and he hasn't, you know, he hasn't blown. And then you've got some people who do, and blah blah blah. So where is that line where, babes, it's not working out for you, babes? When do you stop? When do you decide that your dream isn't?
With that, what it comes down to is you have to assess: are these people doing it for the sheer love of it, or are they hoping to actually maximize and get money from it? Because if you're trying to get money, and how many years in you still ain't popping, it's time to put down the pen for a little piece and go and collect your coins somewhere else, and then just pray over it, because I cannot come and die before I'm singing career. Like, what's this? You know what I'm saying? Like, but if it's something that they're doing for the sheer love of it, by all means, prosper, do you.
It's true.
Sorry, got some comments before you go, Ron. Says, Yinka Dinka says again, for me it's a bit of both. One, permanent roles help you plan for the future, but permanent jobs can make you too comfortable. Macy 101 says, I agree, 9 to 5 is not a bad thing. However, just be persistent in making your personal goals come to light after you finish your 9 to 5. That's my favorite one.
That's that one.
And kind of a different direction, but Ginger Nathan says, how supportive are we of our friends or family who are chasing a dream?
You know what? That's a good question because, like, it's like, for instance, when we first started this show, we always it's funny how
it's mad.
People close to you, like, I won't say we're getting love and support from our close friends, but other people, like, for instance, who are trying to do music career, like, people that you expect to support you don't. And it's always the people that you don't expect to support you that will, like strangers. Do you know what I mean? And you think, why is that? Like, do we not want to see our own prosper?
Do you know one thing? I was having this conversation about a month ago with an upcoming artist, and he's from the ends. Everyone knows him.
Okay. It's okay. I don't think he's good.
Yeah. So, and he was just like, he doesn't understand why. He's from South London. He's been born and raised South London. He's grew up with everyone. But the people that he's grew up with are so fast to support the guy from North London. The guy that they don't even know. The guy from West London that they don't know. But when it's his material, nobody's existing.
You know what? you know, it goes back to, I think, what Yazzie was saying earlier about you know, how we grow and like culture and stuff like that. And I will say this: black people are selfish. We are so very selfish. Bro, we are selfish because the same way, like, we use all these examples all the time. The same way the Asian man will have all his cousins and brothers and sisters and aunties living at the top of the shop until everyone else has their corner shop. You don't do that. Somebody will make it and be like, oh, well, I did it by myself, so why didn't you? And kind of look down on other people and not want them to be on the same level as them because they might outshine them. There's kind of that attitude amongst black people, I think, and it's really disgusting.
It's that thing called a competition. I feel like that's how some people see life, as a competition, and everyone wants someone to do well.
In the barrel,
everyone wants everyone to do well, but not better than them. That's exactly what it is.
But not above me.
You know what I'm saying?
So tying into earlier when I was saying about social and cultural implications, because you mentioned the Asian families, that's indoctrined in them. It doesn't matter what part of London, UK, abroad you go to. Asian man is Asian man. They're bringing in the entire network. The Jewish people, they're bringing in their entire network. Black people, it's like, it's not within us, because when we do have businesses and we attempt to do things, I'm sorry, but we are sometimes the first people to shoot down our own. So it's not even a case of we're not trying to bring in other people, but if you cannot. One thing I find, and I don't want to make a general sweeping statement because I think we got enough of that already. But it's the thing of, like, sometimes our customer service is not always the best. If we, and do you know what? I had a really interesting conversation with one of my good friends about this the other day, and it's like, we as black people have got really, really great ideas, but I think sometimes we overthink it. So if we did the reverse and we oversimplified it, we would be able to prosper more within our businesses. We see that the business model actually works. We're making enough revenue to bring in additional people. There you go. Thus, you know what I'm saying? Then
it's
the
kind of
model,
like a 0 to 100. We
but
don't
again,
do the baby steps.
If we're not taught that, and it's not within our families to do certain things like that, then it's going to be harder for us to flourish in that direction. So I don't even think it's a thing where we are naturally selfish as a people. I just don't think that we have been taught those necessary skills to go forth and do that.
Don't get me wrong, it's not, as I said, a complete generalization at all. It's just, you come into contact with certain people, or, you know, certain cultures and demographics, and you can get that feeling of, as you said, I'm putting out my music but my peoples aren't hollering it, but somebody else is. It's just that idea that we try so hard for ourselves but are reluctant to bring other people in a lot of the time. And I've both been a victim and a perpetrator of that. I think is the right word. As in I've gone to people and said, oh my gosh, I've seen you doing this, how did you do that? I'm not asking you to give it to me, I'm not asking you to do, I'm just asking, what avenue did you take, so maybe I can go there. I might not get the same result as you, but it was just knowing where you went. And people get really cloudy and I'm just like, I don't know. It's like if you ask a girl where she got her shoes from, a couple years ago or something. Do you know what I mean? As in, they know they got it yesterday from Zara, but they don't want to bring it.
I'm the same.
That's what I mean.
the same.
But on the same hand, I've then been a part of things where somebody's come to me and said, where did you get that? And because of how I was treated previously, I've then become that instigator to someone else and been like, oh, I don't know. Because I feel like, no one did it for me, so I don't want to help you. And I know, that's what I'm saying, I know it's bad, but I'm saying I've been both a victim and an instigator of that. And I'm not saying that's because I'm black, that could just be because I'm mean, I don't know. But we do kind of have a general thing amongst us that we all want to get to the top, but are reluctant to help other people a lot of the time to do so as well. So I don't know.
It's so mad. It's so mad. Like, it's so mad as people, because I never understand why we can't just give in to people, just being that person. Just I'm trying to say to you, like, I've always been a firm believer. I give. And I'm not that type of person that wants to give and receive. Do you know what I mean? If I've done something for someone, that's it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I love to see people winning.
Yeah, real. Same.
Like, I love, especially if it's people from my same neighborhood or in the area and they're doing well. I just love it. Like, I will praise you up. Do you see what I'm trying to say to you? And when we started this long drive home stuff, the support was, do you know, it was reasonable. Do you see what I'm trying to say to you? But what was kind of frustrating was the people that man's been with from day dot. Myth. Disappeared, ghost, Casper. Do you see what I'm trying to say to you? But now
Casper,
we just keep plugging away, and even if the people that have been ghost needed something from us, I'll be the yo, what do you need, bro? Do you see what I'm trying to say to you? Because I think that's what we need to start putting in place. Do you know what I mean? That's what we need to start putting in place.
Do you know what though? You raise a good point with that, and again, this is something that I found as well. Been freelancing, so I think the way I've been brought up, like, the Nigerian side in me is very, very strong where pride is concerned. I find it very, very difficult to ask for help. But naturally, because I think I've been brought up to be somebody who is giving to others, I haven't necessarily had to ask for help because people naturally offer it out. But then there are always going to be a queue of people who are going to be queuing around the block to exploit that giving nature. And I think one thing that can sometimes come from that is you have to look at, in terms of when you're saying about you guys starting the long drive home, you're going to have your base network of people who are going to support you regardless, and then there's going to be other people who might want to support you off the back of them getting something in return. But of those people who probably were supporting and then kind of backed up, did you ever kind of assess why that was? Because there might have been like teething issues with the long drive home where they thought, I don't really know what these mans are on. It's not that professional. And it's not necessarily a slight against you. It's just that there's certain little tweaks that need to be made to improve. And I think that's something that, again, within our community, and I say specifically for black people, is that because we don't necessarily have that support system indoctrined within us, it's like rather than reach out and say to that person, do you know what, your thing is popping, but have you considered X, Y, and Z to improve it? Because I feel like because of the way that where our priorities are kind of aligned, I feel like our egos tend to take precedent over anything else. So somebody offering constructive criticism will come across as, this one's a hater. Forget him, man. My thing. And again, same thing, like when you're talking about your guy who's doing music, like I was gonna ask the question, is your like, are they good?
Are they actually
good? You look at every other spectrum about not supporting other than, are they popping? Because if they're popping, the thing is, that doesn't mean it's not good.
The thing is, the music's actually decent. You know how the music, like in this industry, some of it is a bit,
it's nursery rhyme.
Some of it's not, there's no, do you know what I mean? But the tune is actually wavy. So I'm just like, yo, when I first heard it, I was like, whoa, you dropped that, bro, keep going. And he was so like, nah, Ron's like, the way you support, like, it's just mad. I said, bro, like, if someone said post up my video or post up something,
you will do.
I'm gonna do it. Like, just what? How many seconds to post? What? Like, what is that?
It doesn't take anything out of it.
But I guess with that, sorry to cut you again, it comes down to what are people's priorities. Are people's priorities, like, if someone's heart is truly like, if someone's got a pure, really clean heart, they'll support you regardless.
Regardless of what's going on.
But one of their priorities is to see other people that look like them prosper. But then if it ties into what you're saying of, you know what, some of these folks are just kind of selfish. They're like, that's live. Swerve, swipe. I'm gonna pretend I didn't see it.
That's it. No, that is it.
That is so true.
Now, say quickly, I'm in talks at the minute. Well, not talks and stuff. That sounds really like bougie. But I'm currently doing some stuff where I'm trying to find names for an event and all this kind of stuff, and people were saying to me, you should put certified on it because, try and do this branding thing, all that kind of stuff. And one of my first things that I said, I was just like, I mean, it sounds good, but I don't want to put out something that has me essentially on it in case people out there who just will not like something just because it's you.
And
I'm but my friends were looking at me like, why? Gas yourself up. Like, if they don't like it, those aren't the people you need to like it. And I'm just like, okay, fine. But it's just as an example, I've definitely come up against things like that.
You will. 100%.
All the time.
100%.
But again, I do feel like if we allow our ego to set precedent, and the ego doesn't necessarily it doesn't necessarily mean being conceited, but it's just that thing of if what you're branding and packaging is sick, it won't matter your name, like, because even if like for me personally, there's certain people I can't stand their guts, but I'm never ever gonna hate on what it is
what they're doing is good.
What they're pushing is popping. I'm like, do you know what? I think that this person's X, Y, and Z is sick. I don't like them as a person. But what they're doing is good, and I think that's something that we sometimes overlook with human nature, is that yes, you might have a couple enemies who are waiting to see you pop, you know what I mean?
Wait to see you pop or fail.
But at the same time, if what you are doing is good enough, people can't ignore that fact, you know. So I think sometimes we do have to kind of put pride and ego aside and just push it anyway, because in the same way you feel your name might hinder you is the same way your name can push you in a positive direction as well.
Like that still.
Do you know what? And on that note, we have come to the end of the show. It's been a really good topic and a good conversation.
Real good conversation.
Thank you for those who have tuned in and commented. Keep supporting. We are going to drop Ron Snow off today so he can go and see Black Panther. Oh, have we got an incoming call as well?
Okay.
Oh, right. All right. Let's have it then. Hello. Oh, cool ended. All right. Well, I'm gonna let everyone give their socials once again to sign out.
Yeah.
Mate. Sorry, I'm pre in the comments. Some people the end as I joined.
Listen, like, Wakanda forever.
Come on. I'm going to see tonight, people. Don't worry.
He doesn't know.
Man's going to see tonight.
He shouldn't even be here, bro.
Black Panther, look at me. Man, come on.
Alright.
Sorry, socials. Go.
Go then, guys. Here, back.
Yazzie Presents. That's YAZZY Presents. Same on Insta, same on Twitter. Say hi, you know.
That's it.
Say hey back.
Yeah. It's a party.
It's a party.
Yeah, Charlie Certified. CHARLI Certified. There's no E. I'm a girl. Charlie Certified on all socials: Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Just Google it all. Shout out to everybody locked in.
For real.
You know, all that stuff.
Shouts.
As I mentioned earlier, I'm doing some talks. An event is coming your way.
Boss.
Look out for it, boss.
Look out for it. Certified Cinema. So make sure you get your tickets for that.
Love that.
Cool.
And yeah, listen, my advice to anyone that's watching, if you're going to see this or you're going to speak to anyone, everyone has their own journey.
Yeah.
Everyone's journey is different. So don't watch other people. Your journey is different. And I always say to people, it doesn't matter how long it takes you to get to your destination. The greatest satisfaction is that you got there in the end.
Aha, that's
Rev
it.
Run.
One
Yeah.
time.
Rev Run.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's to all of you out there. You know who it is, your boy Ron Snow,
Come on.
someone's baby father, potential, you don't know. All of that, you don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm Joey Cool, and we are out, so we'll be back in 2 weeks time with another topic. So thank you guys for tuning in. We're the Long Drive Home. We're out.
Wakanda forever.